Hello, and my name is James Chappell, and today in this presentation I'm going to be talking about some of the feedback that I received over my first year of studies at LJMU. Um, I'm going to be presenting a progress plan of what I'm going to do to utilise this feedback, and then three career choices that I am interested in and what I would do to work towards those jobs up to graduation. So without further ado, we'll get into the first piece of feedback. The first piece of feedback that I received was to do with my range of research on the essays that I wrote. Now, the feedback said that my research range was too narrow. This meant that my argument was too limited. I wasn't quite getting across the point that I was trying to make. Um, so the feedback basically just suggested was for me to use more reading material. And since then, I've gone away and I've found material that I've been using in newspapers, materials that I've been finding and using in textbooks, and material that I've been using in online journals. And what this helps me to do, it helps me provide my viewpoints more and to expand my argument even more. Now moving on to my second piece of feedback was to do with my accuracy of referencing. So my lecturer commented on the reference quality that I was using and said that it was of a very high standard. And referencing is important to me because it allows the marker to see that I have used proper formalities of referencing, that I am using journals that are recognised throughout the university, and it also enables the academic to be properly credited for the work that they've conducted. But what this meant to me the most to me is that I couldn't be done for plagiarism now. Plagiarism is a serious offence at uni, and me being able to properly credit my work does not put me at risk of getting into any trouble when doing my work. So moving on to my third piece of feedback was to do with thorough proofreading. Thorough proofreading is basically ensuring that the correct grammar is used and the correct literature is used throughout my essays. My feedback said that the use of my grammar and the use of my literature was of a high standard. It was very well written, it was very well worded, there was no spelling mistakes, there was no grammar mistakes. And what this meant to me is it gave me a feeling of professionalism now, and it gave me that feeling because if I was to use a piece of work that had a string of errors through it, I'm not really actually going to want to be using it because it's almost as if the person who has wrote this article hasn't really taken any pride in their work. And also, grammar and spelling is really easy to correct. All you really have to do is just go through it and just make sure everything's right. And well, for me, being able to write essays with no spelling mistakes is just second nature, and it helps me get higher marks on my essays. Now moving on to my fourth piece of feedback. My fourth piece of feedback was to do with my engagement of the literature. Now, we are encouraged to use paraphrasing, not to always direct quote what the author is saying, but in my case, when I received my feedback, they said that I used too much paraphrasing, and they just recommended for me to use more direct quotes, and this would make my work more accurate to what the author, is getting across. So if I were to use more direct quotes, it would ensure the proper understanding of what the author is writing and a more accurate evaluation of the argument that I am trying to portray. And this would help me get a grasp of what the academic is trying to say. So now moving on to my final piece of feedback was to do with my introductions. So when I got my feedback back, the marker said that my introductions didn't properly lay out my argument. When I was writing my introductions, I was only writing what the essay was talking about and not actually the different points that I would be explaining in my essay. So this meant to me that my essay was too basic, and if I would just improve my introductions, it would set a better structure for the rest of the essay, and also just improve my grade that bit more and help me try and achieve my first at uni. So in this slide is just going to be a table of my progress plan, three goals which I'm going to be striving towards, why this will help me, and then what I need to do to meet this goal. So I'll just give you a couple of seconds to look at this. So the three goals have been set from the feedback that I received. So when we talked about the use of more direct quotations, I've said that this will help me in my essays as my quotes will be more accurate. And how I need to do this, when quoting from a textbook, use the actual author's words rather than just paraphrasing all the time, and so on. So now moving on to my first career choice. It is marketing and communications with TTE. So this organisation is the national governing body for table tennis within England, and I've personally played table tennis for a long time in my life, and I've been involved with the national governing body and how they do things. And at the moment, it's not doing very well. The aims of the hierarchy aren't that good, so I would want to involve myself in that so I could try and improve table tennis with those in England. So how I would work towards getting this job? Well, first of all, I've started doing this, but I would get work experience with table tennis clubs around the country so I can get a feel for how different clubs run differently so I can appeal to everyone's interests. On the job specification, it's asking for strong numeracy and literacy skills. At my time at uni, obviously, I've been continuously improving my literacy skills, but since high school, I've never really done anything with my numeracy skills. So if I was just to revisit my numeracy skills and just get the bog standard ability back up, then I think that would give me a stronger chance of acquiring this job. And networking, I will build a huge network of table tennis coaches and table tennis players around the country. So when it comes to me getting this job, I have the people necessary to begin bringing everyone together as one and just improving like the recognition of the sport around the country. Moving on to my second career choice, I would be interested in doing a sport in partnership with UNICEF. Now, quick background on UNICEF. It's a worldwide charity that works with kids. And this is actually really close to my heart again as well because since a young age, my mother and father, they've been foster carers and I've always worked with underprivileged kids. And since a young age, I've always been reaping those rewards of helping those less privileged than me. And to me, working with these kids and trying to get them to survive, to get them a better life would mean a lot to me. So in order for me to get this job, working up to graduation, I would get some charity work with UNICEF. And I think this is a clever idea because it would obviously give me some skills. It would give me an insight to the company, but it'll also get me on their radar for future jobs. And if I put in a strong enough first impression, then they're going to know who I am and it's going to increase my chances of employment. Again, networking, I would be setting up a LinkedIn account and connecting with anyone that is involved with UNICEF, just again getting myself on that radar, getting myself known to the company. And also working on my people skills now. I can talk to people. I'm a very chatty person, but with people skills, I mean getting people on board with UNICEF. So I need to be able to basically get them donations out of them, being able to get them to understand my viewpoint and my vision. And now moving on to my final my final career choice is a social media executive with international companies. Now these companies have a core focus on football and alongside table tennis. Football has always been a passion of mine. I've been playing from a young age and I know a lot about the sport. And at the moment they're looking to build a social media team to get more sponsors involved. So in order for me to work towards this job up to graduation, I want to learn to speak other languages, and I've been focusing on Spanish, German, and Mandarin at the moment. I've been focusing on Spanish because it's a heavily spoken language, very involved in football. German, another European giant for football. And Mandarin, I think, is the most important one in this context, and it's because it's not only the most spoken language in the world, but they have been pouring billions of pounds into football to try and get it a national sport in their country. I need to improve my own social media following because if I had more people following me, then it just gives me a bonus because that's the whole point. We're trying to reach out to more and more people to get them on board. And finally, connect and engage with the social media groups involved. That doesn't only mean the players, the managers, and the football clubs themselves, but our target market would be the fans involved. So I would be trying to get as many people following me. I'd be following as many people as I can that are football fans for different clubs around the world. And that concludes today's presentation. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of your day.